English study plane for talking. Elara dreamt of speaking English fluently, but a wall of shyness always stood in her way. Every attempt to speak felt like trying to lift a lead balloon. She longed to converse naturally, to express her thoughts without fumbling for words. Her desire to connect with people globally was immense, yet her confidence remained incredibly low. Her textbooks were dusty, her apps neglected. The sheer volume of vocabulary felt overwhelming, a mountain too steep to climb. She practiced phrases silently, but actual conversations were terrifying. Elara knew she needed a breakthrough, a systematic English study plane for talking, to guide her journey forward. One evening, browsing an old library, she stumbled upon a peculiar book titled The Whisperwind English Study Plane. It wasn't a physical plane, but a metaphorical flight path for language acquisition. Intrigued, Elara opened its worn pages, hoping for a genuine solution to her persistent struggles. The first principle was audacious: start talking at home. The book advised speaking to herself, to objects, even to imaginary friends. This initially felt awkward, almost foolish, but Elara decided to commit fully. She whispered her daily routine, narrating every mundane task aloud in English. She described making coffee, tidying her room, and choosing her outfit. "I am pouring water," she'd say. "This is a blue shirt." The words felt strange in her mouth at first, like foreign objects, but with repetition, they began to feel more natural, more like her own. Next, the book emphasized how to speak with people. It suggested finding a safe environment, perhaps online language exchange partners. Elara joined a beginners' conversation group, heart pounding with anticipation. Her first few interactions were halting, filled with pauses and forgotten words. However, the group was supportive, encouraging even the smallest attempts. They understood the struggle, having been there themselves. Elara learned the immense value of making mistakes, viewing them as stepping stones, not stumbling blocks. Each conversation, no matter how brief, built her resilience. How to improve your fluency was the next crucial chapter. The book recommended shadowing native speakers, listening and repeating exactly what they said, mimicking their intonation and rhythm. Elara found podcasts and YouTube channels dedicated to natural conversation. She would listen intently, then pause and repeat, trying to match the speed and expression. This wasn't about understanding every word instantly, but about getting her mouth and tongue accustomed to the flow of English. It felt like a vocal workout. Another fluency tip involved talking about familiar topics for a set time without stopping, even if she rambled. This forced her brain to retrieve words quickly, reducing hesitation. She spoke about her hobbies, her family, and her dreams for 5 minutes straight. The way of learning English became less about isolated grammar rules and more about holistic immersion. Elara started labeling objects around her house with their English names, creating a mini-English environment right within her living space. She swapped her native language news channels for English ones, even if she understood only half. Exposure was key. The book stressed consistency above all else, advising short, regular study sessions over infrequent, marathon ones. This felt much more sustainable. How to Learn Words was a game changer. Instead of rote memorization, the book advocated contextual learning. Ilara started encountering new words in articles, stories, and conversations. She'd write them down not in isolation, but in example sentences. For instance, if she learned ubiquitous, she'd write, "Smartphones are becoming increasingly ubiquitous in daily life." This method helped her grasp nuances and typical usage. She created flashcards with sentences on one side, and the word highlighted. How to Remember Words involved spaced repetition systems. Ilara used an app that presented words at increasing intervals if she knew them, and more frequently if she struggled. This intelligent recall system solidified vocabulary in her long-term memory, proving incredibly effective. She also began creating vivid mental images associated with words. For ephemeral, meaning fleeting, she imagined a tiny, delicate butterfly that vanished almost immediately after landing. These imaginative links made words stick like glue. The concept of "start talking at home" evolved. It moved beyond simple narration to expressing opinions and debating with herself. Ilara would take a stance on a current event and argue both sides aloud, strengthening her argumentative vocabulary. This solo practice prepared her for real-life discussions, reducing the shock of unexpected questions. She discovered that articulating thoughts, even to an empty room, built invaluable muscle memory for her brain and tongue, fostering genuine confidence. How to Talk in English emphasized active listening and asking clarifying questions. It wasn't just about speaking, but about engaging authentically. Ilara learned to paraphrase what she heard, ensuring she understood correctly before responding. She practiced phrases like, "If I understand correctly, you mean," or "Could you elaborate on that point?" These simple tools transformed her interactions, making them more productive and less intimidating. She felt more in control of conversations. How to improve your listening skills became a daily ritual. Ilara started with familiar topics and clear speakers, gradually moving to more complex accents and faster speech. She used subtitles initially, then weaned herself off them completely. Listening to podcasts during her commute, English music while doing chores, and watching English movies without dubbing became second nature. Her brain started to discern individual words in a stream of sound, a truly remarkable development over time. The book's final, profound advice was how to think and speak in English. It suggested journaling in English, writing down her thoughts and feelings directly, without translating from her native language first. This was the ultimate cognitive shift. Initially, her thoughts still formed in her native tongue, then she'd laboriously translate. But with consistent practice, Ilara noticed a subtle change. Simple thoughts, like "I'm hungry" or "It's raining," started to pop into her mind directly in English. This mental rewiring was slow but incredibly powerful. She began to dream in English, a clear sign of deep immersion. Her internal monologue, once silent or in her native language, now frequently hummed with English phrases and sentences. The English study plane, once a theoretical concept, now felt like a well-charted flight. Ilara realized that learning English wasn't a destination, but an ongoing journey. Every day brought new discoveries, new words, and new opportunities to communicate. Her shyness had largely dissipated, replaced by a genuine eagerness to connect. She could now confidently introduce herself, discuss complex ideas, and even crack jokes in English. The transformation was profound, almost unbelievable at first glance. She began helping others who felt stuck, sharing the principles of the Whisperwind English study plan. Ilara emphasized that consistency and active engagement were far more important than raw talent or expensive courses. Effort truly mattered most. The notion of "start talking at home" was often the hardest for people to embrace, due to self-consciousness. Ilara reminded them that perfection was not the goal, only progress. Even whispering a few sentences was a victory worth celebrating. How to speak with people also involved active empathy. She advised listening carefully to understand others, not just to formulate a response. Genuine connection fostered a more relaxed speaking environment for everyone involved. For how to improve your fluency, she stressed the importance of rhythm and intonation. English wasn't just about words, it was also about the music of the language. Practicing common phrases until they felt natural was crucial for smooth delivery. She encouraged learners to record themselves speaking, then listen back critically. This self-assessment, while initially uncomfortable, provided invaluable insights into areas needing improvement. It was a mirror for their spoken English, showing true progress. The way of learning English became a personalized adventure for each individual. There was no single magic bullet, but rather a combination of tailored strategies. Ilara advocated exploring different methods until finding what resonated best. She recommended creating a dedicated English-only zone in one's life, perhaps a specific time of day or a corner of the house. This mental boundary helped the brain switch into English mode more easily and consistently. When teaching how to learn words, Ilara shared her mental imagery technique, often drawing silly pictures to illustrate concepts. Humor made the learning process more enjoyable and memorable, reducing the feeling of drudgery. She also advised using new words immediately in conversation or writing, even if imperfectly. Active usage cemented them in memory far more effectively than passive recognition. Words truly came alive through practical application. How to remember words involved regular review, not just cramming. Short, consistent bursts of vocabulary practice throughout the week yielded superior results compared to infrequent, intense sessions. It was about building a habit. Ilara also suggested grouping words by topic or theme, rather than just alphabetically. Learning related vocabulary together helped create a web of interconnected knowledge, making recall more efficient and intuitive for the learner. The advice on "start talking at home" gradually led to an internal monologue transformation for many. They reported thinking more directly in English, reducing the mental burden of translation, leading to much faster communication. It was about embracing imperfect speech, celebrating effort, and focusing on clear communication over flawless grammar in early stages. This mindset shift was liberating, allowing learners to experiment and grow without constant self-judgment. How to talk in English meant developing conversational strategies beyond just knowing words. It involved using filler words naturally, like, or, to buy time and sound more authentic, rather than awkward silence. She taught them how to politely interrupt or interject, and how to signal when they needed a moment to gather their thoughts. These social lubricants were essential for navigating real-world English conversations smoothly and confidently. How to improve your listening skills was often about patience. It took time for the ear to adjust to the nuances of native speech, especially rapid dialogue or regional accents. Exposure was the ultimate teacher here. Ilera recommended actively predicting what speakers might say next, engaging her brain more deeply. This foresight helped her process information faster and anticipate the flow of conversation, enhancing overall comprehension significantly. How to think and speak became the ultimate goal for many aspiring learners. It represented true linguistic freedom, where English felt like an extension of their own thoughts, rather than a separate, external tool they had to wield. She suggested thinking about daily tasks in English. What should I eat for dinner? Or, I need to go to the grocery store. Simple internal dialogue built the foundation for more complex spontaneous speech, paving the way. The Whisperwind English study plane was not a magic shortcut, it was a disciplined, structured approach that yielded extraordinary results through consistent application. Ilera's own journey was living proof of its transformative power on countless occasions. Her once timid voice now resonated with clarity and confidence, a testament to countless hours of dedicated practice. She no longer feared conversations, but actively sought them out, eager to connect with diverse individuals from around the world. The plane had truly taken flight, soaring beyond mere proficiency into genuine mastery. Ilera felt a profound sense of accomplishment, knowing she had conquered her fears and unlocked a world of opportunities through language. She had transformed from a hesitant learner into an inspiring speaker, a beacon of hope for anyone struggling with English. Her journey demonstrated that with the right strategies and unwavering dedication, fluency was always within reach for everyone. Her advocacy for consistent daily immersion was unwavering. Ilera emphasized that even 5 minutes of focused English practice each day accumulated into significant progress over weeks and months, making the impossible seem achievable. She often reminded her students that perfection was an illusion, effective communication was the real prize. The joy of being understood and understanding others far outweighed any minor grammatical slips or pronunciation imperfections she observed. The very essence of the English study plane for talking was to demystify language acquisition, breaking it down into manageable, actionable steps. It empowered individuals to take control of their learning journey effectively, step by step. Ilera's story became legendary, a narrative of triumph over linguistic anxiety. Her simple, yet profound, methods resonated deeply, showing that fluency was not just for the gifted, but for anyone willing to embark on the journey. And so, the Whisperwind English study plane continues to guide countless aspiring speakers, helping them navigate the skies of language learning. It reminds them that every small step, every whispered word, propels them closer to their ultimate goal, fluent, confident English communication.